Welcome, everyone, to the Buyers on Demand podcast. Today, we're coming at you live in person with Mladen. Mladen? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm Aladdin. I own G Media. We're a content marketing studio and media house located here in Las Vegas, where we provide content for service-based businesses out here in the Valley.
Sweet. Now, for everyone listening who has been tuned into the recent episodes, first off, thank you. We appreciate the support. Everyone's like, wait a second, Mladen's talking about content studio for service-based businesses. Mladen did get his start as a realtor. Well, I shouldn't say your start because I know you did stuff prior to real estate, but you do have real estate experience as a realtor. So today, on this episode, honestly, we're just going to go all over the place when it comes to marketing, your experience before and after real estate, during real estate, some of the expectations that maybe people have when you've worked with them, doing content stuff. We're going to keep it pretty open flow. Anyone that's listening that hasn't tuned in any previous episodes, this podcast was designed by myself, Sean Stewart, with the goal of exposing marketing secrets for realtors. So trying to talk to as many realtors as possible and understand what it is, that they're doing to generate new business without having to hide anything behind a paywall. So with that being said, Mladen, do you want to tell us a little bit about your start, and then feel free to riff back, and just ask me questions, and we'll just keep it open flow.
100%. And to touch on your marketing secret statement, one right off the rip is that the exact same marketing strategies nowadays, bigger businesses are looking to smaller creators for inspiration. That's the biggest takeaway, I think, in this current day and age in terms of organic marketing online, even paid marketing. But I got my start right around, I think, 19 years old is when I got my real estate license. I graduated high school in 2020. Obviously, I barely even had a graduation. I went to school out here in Vegas. So what ended up happening is I got door knocked by a realtor doing an open house. And I was just in my room, came downstairs, and I opened the door, and this guy just standing there in a suit. I see his, he had a Mercedes GTR. You know what the car I'm talking about? I was actually wanted to buy one. But so he had a white one, literally parked across my house, and he just door knocks and goes, "Hey, I'm hosting an open house here. Just want to invite you out, or potentially, make you aware that this house is going up for sale on the market. Normally when one house sells, 2 or 3 people end up moving or looking to sell as well." And I'm like, holy shit, this guy's good. So I'm like, what do you do? How much is that payment on that car? Are you just hosting open houses every day? What's the plan? Long story short, he gave me the link for the website to get my real estate license at. I did it in 2 weeks, watched a bunch of YouTube videos, got my fingerprints done, and got my real estate license. And then I kind of sat around for 4 or 5 months until I really decided to take it seriously with cold calling. And I got literally the best mentor ever, Pedro Roche, if you're watching this. He introduced me to cold calling and the Mike Ferry scripts and that whole organization, and just smiling and dialing till your teeth fall out. And that's the best way to generate business. In my first year, I did over 120,000 in GCI as a real estate agent. Keep in mind that is with that 6-month buffer of me not doing shit. Next year, very similar as well. Did that for about 2 years, and then I came over here to Galindo Group Real Estate as a real estate agent. Talked to Josh and Luis. I was like, hey, I see you guys are trying to launch a marketing agency. What's the plan with that? I was like, I'm an expert in sales. I promise you, I can get this done. We can make a big business out of this. So we ended up all 3 partnering on this business. And here we are today in a 2,000 square foot media house with 11 employees, 5 in person, 6 overseas, and we're taking it day by day.
It's, for anyone that's listening, it's pretty badass. I got to say, I do have a buddy, shout out Trevin if you're watching, with the video podcast studio. I don't know if you know Trevin Angulo. Trevin's studio is super sick. And what I love about his studio, he has all these different themes with the rooms. And I come here and you have different themes of the rooms, but one thing that's different here than Trevin's, and I'm not comparing the two, Trevin, if you're listening, because he knows, I love his place. I love your editing bay that you have, where all the computers are at, everyone's kind of working. It almost is especially with the garage doors and everything, it kind of gives me a warehouse it's almost like what I dreamed of when I first started doing marketing stuff, like with my business partner, where I was like, I wish I could have a warehouse with just like everyone's kind of working at the, the computer desks, and you have like just kind of these chill areas with, like in my head, I was like, I wanted a basketball hoop and all these different like, music speakers, and just have it kind of really, I don't know, lay back and chill. So love it. Super cool vibe. And that's awesome about your accomplishments. I love when I look at your page and I see all the cold calling stuff. It reminds me so much of when I first started. When I was 19, I started working for Microsoft, and that was all I did. So they hired me on, and they wanted me to do outbound sales. It was my first time ever doing anything sales related, and I was cold calling every day for a $500,000 product that they were selling.
500K.
Yeah, it's called ERP software. So what it is, it's for big businesses that are in the manufacturing space. And the idea is, and you would know this as like a agency owner, every business owner has, and for anyone that's a realtor, like what are you guys talking about? Stick with me. We're gonna get back to it. But you would know this, and I knew this too. Every business owner has like a bajillion different software tools that they use, and everyone has this idea of like, I wish I could just have all of them in one house. That's what Microsoft is basically selling, but to huge businesses. And so every day I would have to cold call, and I just absolutely sucked at it until I ran into a mentor, and he was just like, the only way to get better, kind of like the Hermosi idea, is just do more volume, like just bang out the phones, and finally with enough data, like you'll figure out what the right opener is, what the right pitch is, and whatnot. And to this day, like I've loved cold calling. It's interesting because I consider myself more introverted in social, like regular life. But when it comes to sales and like doing outbound approaches, I think the idea of me talking to a stranger that has no idea who I am, like really adds a lot of comfort to me. It's like, if you reject me, cool, doesn't matter. Like, I don't know you, go on to the next person. And a lot of realtors, like going back to the realtor thing, but we can talk about anything. Cold calling just in general for a lot of people can be super scary. And I'm curious to hear like a little bit about maybe your initial hurdles that you had to overcome when you first started cold calling.
I'll do you one better.
Yeah.
This is the single biggest event to happen to me due to cold calling, and it wasn't something that I expected, nor did anyone prepare me for it. But I got sued. Okay, I got sued for cold calling. It was a TCPA lawsuit, and the story behind that was I was just ripping phone numbers through my actual phone number. I wasn't even using like a burner phone or even like a dialer or anything. But what ended up happening is this lady, I just come into the office and I have a whole stack of papers like this, and it was a class action lawsuit against my previous company, and I was a named person within it. And what ended up happening is I'm like, holy shit, like I gotta hire a lawyer. Like, oh, the company's like, no, dude, we'll take care of you. I'm like, I really doubt it. It's a class action. You really think you're going to take care of me, or are you going to take care of yourself? Like, where is this going to go?
Yeah.
And my mentor said something pretty powerful to me. It's going to sound like gibberish, but if you understand it, you'll really internalize it. It's like, this shouldn't bother you, one. Two, make more phone calls to cover the lawyer fee. And that's it.
It's a good
just
mindset
move on. It's a great mindset. Yeah. That would shatter some people.
I had that happen to me. Funny enough, like this is not me just saying this for the podcast. I actually had that happen to me 2 weeks ago. Thankfully, I didn't get sued, but I had someone who I called, and what's crazy too is like I had only called him one extra time from the time where he said like, take me off the list. And it was just on accident, and he just ripped it. And I think one of the advantages that cold calling gives you is, and it's very cliche, but it's so true, is like the thick skin of it all, where like, and pairing cold calling with a high volume approach, because some people will cold call, but they'll only do maybe like 20 or whatever to try to ultra personalize it. In sales, you have like either volume or personalization, as you know. And I think the mindset of like, I'm used to cold calling and I'm used to doing a ton of volume totally was able to have me overcome that fear that I might have had in that moment in like 10 minutes. So that's a crazy story, man. I've never met anyone who's
Yeah.
actually sued. I
Yeah.
always have just kind of thrown it off as like, that's just a smoke screen, not a smoke screen, but like
Yeah, it's
BS,
like,
you
it
know?
can't happen to me. No, the lady didn't even pick up the phone, dude. And when you look into it, I hope she is watching. She's a serial suer. Whoever takes on this case, you clearly know what you're doing. You've sued over 10 different real estate companies for calling on this one listing. Like,
Dang.
and you're gonna win. They're gonna settle.
Mhm.
You're telling me like a giant corporation on a class action and everything isn't gonna say, you know what, you want 150 million? How about five? Just take five. Like, bro, are you kidding me? Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Like, that's your playbook. That's what you're gonna keep running. But yeah, nevertheless, I think people grossly underestimate the amount of phone calls that need to be made, especially in like a business like real estate. And then they also underestimate how many people they're actually competing against. You always build this up as like a huge monster in your head of like, hey, I'm competing against every realtor in Vegas if I'm cold calling. It's like you're competing against 15 people. And I
Exactly.
guarantee you it'll always be around 15 people that are going to call the fresh expireds, even the older ones, maybe there's 5 people that are in your actual competition. But it's like that was like one of my favorite objection handlers is someone saying like, dude, you guys keep calling me. And it's like, sir, do you understand how many realtors are in Vegas? Take a wild guess. Take a guess. Come on. And they'd be like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, what is the number now? 1 million? Right? How many is there?
It's about, dude, it's over 1 million now. It's like
Right.
1.3 million or something.
1.3
Crazy.
million people. And it's like, sir, how many calls have you got today? It's like, well, you're like the 10th guy. And I'm like, it's less than a percent. Like you should be blessed that all people are lazy and you don't have 1.3 million people calling you. Like, I actually want to talk to you. That's why I'm even asking you this. And then you get back on the script. But like, it's true. You know, not many people cold call, and also not many people know how much you have to cold call and what those numbers have to look like for you to be successful.
And then you pair that with not out of the people that do cold call, not all of them are making the same volume that you're making. Not all of them are actually good on the phones. You know, like there's layers even deeper. So then really you're competing against maybe in Las Vegas, maybe 3 people, you know, it's like,
Right. Exactly.
I noticed that. And we could, if you want, I'll let you kind of take it. However, we could segue into this. I'm really curious more about your background. I've noticed the same thing running ads. You know, I know you would relate to this where it's like, the amount of people that are running ads in the United States might be a lot, but in Las Vegas, especially for what you're doing, you're competing against, at least to my knowledge, maybe like 1 or 2 other people,
Yeah.
you know, especially like with what you guys got going on, your experience, the different studios, the access to equipment, like you're really only competing against maybe 1 or 2 guys. And the fact that you have 11 guys here that are all working at editing bay, it's like, come on, like, what are we doing? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
No, for sure. I mean, advertising the same game, and it's same thing as like how much, especially in the local market. Like if you're targeting locally with ads, one, just keep iterating as much as you can, and everything just ends up being packaging at the end of the day. Like I can and will say the exact same thing over and over again, but I'll say it in different ways,
Yep.
and then I'll figure out which one worked.
Yep.
And nowadays, like a huge upside is the different levels of advertising, right? So it's like people have to understand that organic content is still a level of advertising, whether you realize it or not. If you have a personal brand, you're pushing a message. You're not making content for fun. I mean, maybe you are, but there's still definitely like you're hoping for ancillary revenue from people that are going to convert in some capacity. So even being able to test at a top level of like, hey, I'm going to try trial reels. I'm going to post 5 reels a day for 1 week, and I'm going to see what the numbers say, because you get shot in the heart when you're like, dude, I put so much energy into this video. It's going to be a banger of a video. And you post it as a trial reel or something, and it's 100 views, right? So, and now I'm kind of going like a little bit more into it, but the strategy behind it would be, how many trial reels can I post? And to figure out content, period. Like, let me just figure it out. Like, why is this video getting 1,000 views and this one 100? And then understanding, okay, this one has 1,000. Let me make another variation of it with different packaging. Maybe a different text on screen. Maybe the captions are a different font. Maybe I'm cutting it differently. Oh, shoot, that one actually got like 3,000 views as a trial reel. It's like, oh, okay, this topic is hot then. Let me post it to my main feed. Okay, cool. Now the reel's at 10,000. Okay, now I have a proof of concept that I can spin off this idea. spin off this packaging into an ad. Right now, I have it tried and tested with an audience that doesn't even know me, which is the trial reels. Then I brought it to my warm audience, which is my followers. And PSA, your followers don't care about your content whatsoever. Maybe 1% of your followers are ever going to see your content, and they don't care. Then third, you're going to paid advertising now with it. So it's like your dollar is going to go a lot further because you understand that, hey, this is probably going to perform pretty well.
And for the audience listening too, I'll bring this back to home too, because what you're describing is what's actually happening to me in real time. I have a video right now. In the past couple of days, I've gained 220 followers from this video so far. That's quickly rising in terms of the engagement. And the way that I came to this video is exactly what you just mentioned. I started off, so there's a couple different layers, and Mladen just mentioned this word packaging, and so we can touch on this a lot throughout this episode. The first layer that I looked at was, okay, I found this idea. Well, actually, I had this idea from just prior experience, which is, I guess, sauce number one for anyone listening, is like you have to have some baseline credibility to pull from instead of just like copying other realtors' knowledge and, expertise. So I had this idea from working with someone previously. The video that I'm referencing here, anyone listening, you go to my page. I made this video about Canva and ChatGPT. It's like a content hack that I used to do with prior clients that I would work with, because everyone would always say like, okay, I don't have enough time to post content. I'm like, it's so much easier now in today's age with all the tools to post content than ever before. Watch this. And so I did this little hack for them. People loved it. So I took this inspiration from my sales calls and I was like, okay, I should probably make a video on this. So what I did first was I filmed the video, but it was in and I posted as a trial reel, but it was in the completely wrong format. Started off like talking head, kind of just explaining the process. That transitioned to more of like a green screen style. And so for anyone listening, when I'm talking about formats, I'm talking about visual styles of the video that you post online. And so I started off talking head where I have like selfie style, camera in front of me, and I'm just talking about this idea. That iterated based on the performance of the trial reels to a green screen style where I have it behind me, the information. The green screen style did a little bit better than the talking head, so I figured, okay, maybe visuals are more important. And that turned into the third variation, which is the one that vastly outperformed and is the one that's performing now, which is what I call a step-by-step. So it's those videos, if you guys have ever seen, where you are filming a computer and you're pointing to certain things, saying like, go to this website, type in this prompt, do this, do this. And I literally filmed the exact same script, the exact same idea, the exact same everything. All I did those 3 iterations was just change the actual visual style, what people are seeing, with their eyes. And it went from 100 to 1,000 to now, right now, it's at like 20,000 or something, which for right now, where my page is at, pretty good. And so to your point, exactly right. We took this idea, and I say we, Tiago, who you've talked to, and I was like, wow, okay. And you would know this from Hermosi. He mentions right now in this like Andromeda age with ads and organic, everything is kind of coming together where you can take your top performing organic piece of content and run it as an advertisement. So we took all of these ideas and we tested it with a realtor. This happened 2 days ago for anyone listening. I just told you the story before the podcast. And he's in Seattle. We had him film 3 different variations of a home tour, all different styles. We ran it as trial reels. One of them greatly outperformed than the other. That one's blown up right now. It's at like 17,000 views. He has hundreds of comments. He's gotten a ton of leads from it. And now we've taken that and we've run it as an ad. And now he is just getting his phone completely rang off the hook because of exactly what you're describing. Start like trial reels. I mean, we could go on a whole podcast about this. Trial reels is like the most underutilized hack that realtors or just people in general are not utilizing enough. It is literally like what we used to do with running ads, and you would test different creatives inside an ad set, but you can do it for free now. So man, I love that you mentioned that. Like I can go on a whole hour about that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, and it's completely agree with you in that sense. And it might actually help me a little bit more to understand like where your audience is at. Like in my head, it's either one, they haven't posted a single video yet, or two, they posted 10 videos and they don't think it works anymore. And then there's the 0.5% of people watching that have actually posted more than 50 videos on Instagram.
Yep. So what's great actually, and what we've done a lot of data collection, and I'm saying this, and someone listening who's never heard of this podcast before might think like I have thousands of followers. Like, keep in mind, I only have 620 followers at this point, and yet we've been able to maximize every single follower we've got. Like, the quality of followers is outrageous. We've interviewed, I won't say all of them, but we've interviewed, I think, right around 250 of them now.
Holy shit.
And we've done a ton of data of like figuring out where are you at, because what we're trying to understand is our messaging. And I'm trying to, this is why trial reels are so important. I'm trying to, like the video that's popping off right now, Canva and ChatGPT, it's bringing in a lot of mid-career realtors who have posted more than 100 videos, which is great. That's like a really good ICP, what we're trying to go after. People that have tried content, they're trying to grow with content, and they're experienced enough. They've done at least 5 years in the business, and they can sustain making content. That is, when we're doing all this data collection, we are basically looking at the insights of every video, looking at how many people follow, and then tracing back the followers and figuring out what their experience level is. And so for when you're asking me this question, feel free to speak to the people who are familiar enough with posting a video. You know, they might not know enough as much as you do as the content expert, but they know enough about what a trial reel is, what posting organically means, and what posting on ads means.
Yeah.
So
okay.
feel free to,
100%. Yeah.
yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at too. I mean, with our ideal client, it's like we're doing service-based businesses, social media content, and these are all really big businesses. And I can tell you single-handedly that I pull inspiration from solo creators. Like, there's a reason why, Costco has multiple different Instagrams where they post UGC content, which is like user-generated content. And they have the simple text on screen as someone talking to a camera and as captions. I really think, and I made multiple videos on this too, my business is completely changing. There's 3 FX30s. This whole studio is like 25 grand. That's where I can show value, right? Value. But in a day and age where a client decides to leave, and this happened about a month ago, because their mastermind group said that Yapping style of content is going to perform better than paying a media agency X amount of dollars per month. So that leads to me saying, cool, my business has to, one, shift in terms of doubling down on strategy and actual value being provided to people. And two, stray away from focusing all the value on, hey, we have this equipment, we have this, we have this. So it comes down to actually like, who knows more in the space? And by posting on Instagram, you realize, oh yeah, there's definitely a rubric or like a curriculum to follow to achieve this result versus like this result online.
Unfortunately, and I try to be as transparent as possible. I'm like, I will gladly talk about all of my failures. Unfortunately, I've gone through that hurdle so many times when we were doing the media side. Again, for anyone listening, I started off doing real estate media, so video and photos of homes for listings. And when we started, this is a couple years ago, so like 2021, 2022-ish, you could charge a ton of money for a really good quality video. Like we were really good friends with Trevin, if you're watching, with the video podcast studio, and he runs, a media business, and he works with big companies on big commercials. And man, you can charge a pretty penny, especially for like realtors in Florida, like the media agencies out there, they can do listing videos for 20 grand, just for one listing video, because the value of the home is like 20 million,
Yeah.
And that was the thing then, where like this super high produced content was so rare to find. But now with like how readily accessible everything is with AI and access to technology and whatnot, the value of the visual side of the content has gone dramatically down. And we saw like towards the tail end, and this was even like 2022, 2023, we would do a home tour and we would charge a realtor like $2,000 for it. and then they would film a video with their iPhone. This is a funny story. This actually just happened to my mom 2 months ago. They would film a video with their iPhone saying like, hey, here's the property. And the iPhone footage would get more business. And I'm like, what the heck? Like I just spent all of this time and effort into the video quality. And we would spend so many hours like color grading the footage, making sure that the whites are white on all the walls and the yellows are dimmed and whatnot. And all of it just kind of like in my mind, I'm like, what is going on? Like, this can't be happening because I love this so much. But now, like you're saying, it's not that big production media businesses are out of value. You now, because of your experience, like you can add multiple layers of value on top of just the visual component. Like, yes, you have professional videos, maybe not necessarily for organic, but maybe for other professional marketing assets like a VSL or a website or maybe like a listing presentation. But you also now can provide the ideation process that you've found from some of your past experience, maybe the scripting, maybe testing with the trial reels, and maybe implementing some ads on it, you know? And so this is why, like what I was telling you, I have some experience with the content agency space. I went through this huge epiphany because it started with media, and I'm like, man, if the quality of the video isn't valued anymore, what good am I? And then I shifted into the content agency mindset where it's like, no, this is one component to a much bigger, set of value that I can provide to a realtor that actually will directly contribute to them getting more business. So I definitely think that there's room for, both ends, like you're saying, where the yapping style or whatever the authentic, I definitely see where that trajectory is headed in 2026. But also, they're not going to be able to, and this is what, I'm kind of monologuing here, but this is really important. This is what a lot of people don't understand is, like you had a client that left you, right, for yapping content. What they don't understand is when they go home, they still have to think about all the ideas. They have to think about the structure of what they say. Like, it's not as simple as just pulling out your phone and literally just talking to a camera, because every realtor or client is going to second guess themselves. They're going to say, oh, I just stumbled on those words. I'm going to do it again, blah, 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 blah. And most importantly, they don't have an accountability partner on their side. They don't have someone that's like, I think you can do this better. You should test it like this way. And they're just going off of their own feedback, So anyways, I just say all that to say, like, there's definitely room for you. But I also see what you're saying about more authentic content going in 2026. Yeah. How are you? That's my monologue about, how I feel about both sides of the spectrum. How are you kind of positioning yourself for the future with all of this new trend in social media?
Yeah, 100%. And I completely agree with you. Like, two things to say for that. Like, accountability is probably the most needed thing, especially within the real estate industry, because everything's just volume at the end of the day. And two, I want to make this very clear that you are not the judge of good content or bad content. Like, when a video performs well, everyone can say, oh my God, this performed well because of this and this and this. But on the back end, you had no clue that was going to perform well. Right. So it just ends up being a volume game. It's like, you don't know what's going to perform well. Like, I've put so much time into a video and it flops. And then my other friend the other day posted a stupid song and him sitting next to his car and got like 2.2 million views. Maybe it's different audiences, right? There's an argument to that too. But like, you don't determine what performs well.
Exactly.
There's basic principles you can follow.
And that is one of many of the value adds that a company like yours provides, is this, not only the accountability, but also managing expectations. Like, for me, thankfully, I have all this experience prior to understand when I'm posting on social media, and this is super important for the audience at home. When I'm posting on social media, I'm never looking at the short-term metrics. Like, I'm not looking at, for example, the last video I posted didn't do as well, right? Cool, I'm going to go make another one. The only thing I'm thinking about is, like, can I consistently post better content for the next year? And so, like, I'm only focused on the inputs on a long time horizon. Most realtors or other clients of yours, other people in general, service-based businesses, anyone, especially like you mentioned, like, I've had this happen so many times where you have this banger video idea and you spend 8 hours editing it only for it to get 100 views. For the average person, that's it. It's like, why am I spending 8 hours of my day posting or trying to create a video that's just going to get 100 views? Like most people do not have the bandwidth to post at a high volume for a long enough time horizon and consistently get better. And that's the value that you and your company would provide to any service-based business out there. And this podcast is by no means just trying to be like a shameless plug, but like I feel so strongly about that because I was in this position, a couple of years ago. And it was only due to health complications that I'm not. Like I would still be, doing it. Can you walk us through like a little bit about, because I talked about managing expectations, maybe some of the mindset that you see, a common mentality that some of your best performing clients adopt?
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. I'm trying to think of like the most simple way to break this down. I think number one, each piece of content has to be able to stand on its own, meaning it's a complete video, it's a complete thought, and it's only one thought per video. Like if I have a landscaping client and my goal is to highlight and showcase the exact remodel that they did, I'm gonna package it as that, right? Not remodel, sorry, landscaping job. So it's like, we did these 5 things that increased the value of the home by 120,000, and this was all done within 30 days. Like it is a YouTube video format within a short form reel, and I'm gonna basically break down a landscaping backyard like kind of redone. So it's like we added Stardust pavers, we added turf, we added a little mini golf course, we added whatever it may look like. So each thing should stand on its own. And the other thing I want to touch on is how hard it is to do this at scale. People grossly underestimate. Imagine having to put this much effort into one client's content, where it's like, the best practices. Each thing should stand on its own. Hey, comment house below to get a free Las Vegas guide of like where to visit in the city, right? So it's like you're creating lead magnets almost per 10 videos, I would say, and then recycling them, and then maybe doing 3 hook iterations for each video, and then potentially even like 3 different styles of packaging for each video. Like, if you want this at such a high level, it's incredibly hard to productize, and I really commend the people that are able to do it. If I'm being honest, that's something that we struggle with too, is like there is such a huge operational drag behind having to do this level of fulfillment for every single client. But then it just comes down to positioning and saying, hey, this actually costs $25,000 a month versus $2,500 a month. Then you can say, boom, here's the entire team, here's the suite of people, and then you'll see the results, right? Or not. I mean, there's a lot of testing involved, and then you determine if it's worth it or not. So I would say now more than ever, you have to put more attention into your business, because there's so many different avenues of testing now than there was before.
I know you've probably worked with Josh on some of his content, right? Can you tell us a little bit about, you don't have to go in too depth if you don't, feel comfortable with it, about his strategy, but how is he able to consistently put out higher quality pieces of content on a daily basis at the volume that he's doing?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. For anyone listening too, we're talking about Josh Galindo here, who Mladen is business partners with. He's pretty popular here in the Las Vegas Valley, and he's posting like a madman multiple times a day, every day. So curious, and of course he's the the broker at this office. So curious, if you have some insights on how do you consistently post at that kind of caliber.
Yeah, that's a great question. One, we allocate a lot of resources to him because he is a lead magnet for the business. And his brand does carry more weight than mine or Luis's or the other person there, only because he is targeting, business owners, right? He's a business figure here in Vegas. So the way we're able to pump out so much content is by having a backlog of about 2.5 years worth of content. And whether that was, now we can get into like founder building in public, which is like a format that I really like.
Same. Love that.
Incredible. Only because you have IRL streaming popping off, clippers getting infinite content from that, and you're almost replicating that style on like a smaller scale, where it's really hard to bullshit building in public, which is exactly, one of the main reasons why he has so much content is because he actually does the stuff, you know, like he
Sure.
actually has the cars, he
Sure.
actually does the flips and like does all of this auxiliary stuff and runs the whole business and everything, you know, Galindo Group Real Estate and whatever else, that we just are able to get so much content from it. And you know, the founder building in public stack that I would say is like you need a videographer and an assistant editor. I would recommend like a VA assistant editor. Gary Vee popularized it, but like a Shredditor, someone that can just film you,
Yep.
just put it together, put some text on the screen and send it.
Yep.
Because that's all that is going off right now. It doesn't have to be refined. You know, it can be, right? But if you're looking for that kind of style, it's just volume. Film as much as you can and post as much as you can. That's how we do it.
What does it look like? And it's good that we're getting into this because this is more like high level logistical content that a lot of our audience and maybe potentially a lot of your audience really aspires to get to. So, and there's something also that I've been fascinated with is this idea of like a media team. You know, Hermosi's talked about it. Caleb Ralston's talked about it, about what the actual inside kind of team looks like, of kind of what you were describing, where you have a videographer, a Shredditor, but then there's also other roles of a creative director. And more recently, you know, we've learned that like Mr. Beast, for example, has a whole different department for ideation. Like it can get really high level pretty quick. And so I say all this to frame this question of when you guys have, or Josh has, a videographer, is this guy just literally like with him all day, every day? Maybe it's you, maybe it's someone else, filming him all day and then send it to the Shredditor and he just goes through like 8 hours of footage and just cuts away kind of thing?
Yeah, so it depends, right? We did give him a dedicated videographer for a certain portion of time, and then we got to our own bottleneck of, wow, this is a lot of footage.
Sure.
And we might not need all of it, but
Yeah.
a lot of it's good B-roll and then
Yeah.
text overlay or whatever that
Yeah.
looks like. There's so many different ways you can spin it. But yeah, we would assign a videographer to him specifically, and when they would come back at the end of the day, let's say it was an 8-hour shift, because most people do operate on that kind of schedule, unless you're in like something niche like gambling or nightlife, whatever. But yeah, they would come back, they would dump the footage, we would send it off. Either the long form vlog was edited by our videographer, and out of the long form vlog, because we wouldn't have to do selects being picking the best moments, the videographer filmed it. They could kind of remember what the best moments were of that day. So they would do the long form vlog. That would then get sent off to a VA out in the Philippines that would then take a look at that and just start clipping it as much as they can. There's probably more efficient ways to do it, you know, and we're always looking for that too. Like you have WAP now, where like that whole thing can be technically live streamed.
Yeah.
And then someone can just clip that entire thing and you just pay per view,
Right.
right? So there's a ton of different ways to spin it, but that's just the way that we do it. You know, always open to better ideas and change.
This is such an interesting conversation, and I think this is really good to segue into this because I think this is more middle for us. And it's aligned with what you were saying. I think you really kind of transitioned this pretty well of, you know, you had this client who wanted to transition to more authentic content, and what we're describing now with this high volume kind of building in public is all leaning towards more authentic content. And we're seeing like live streamers are now the new celebrities, right? And I've always like, since the streaming has really started popping off in the past couple of years, I've always been curious of like, what are we going to see in the business space in 2020? Let's see, it's 2026, like 2028. Are we going to start to see in your mind, like Alex Hermosi, and he's already starting to do it on YouTube Live, but are we going to see more like business live streamers, or where do you think the content is evolving in this kind of space that we're all watching?
For sure. I think it's all going to completely social first, in the sense of, if you're a storefront, right? Even like us, I want to have essentially like live shopping, right? I don't have a product like that, but I can damn near almost make it into one.
Sure.
To do the live shopping kind of thing, where it's like, hey, why don't, you know, and you're seeing this in California too, like you have people sitting in front of restaurants just live streaming to just get people to come in. One, it's like you're walking by and you're like, what is this person doing? And two, it's like the person on the live stream being like, oh my God, this food looks so good, let me go over there. Oh, look, it's down the street. Oh, let me go walk there. So things are definitely going like social first. And I think also the live route. I mean, Gary Vee was doing it for a while too, where he
Yeah.
was just live streaming his business day. I think that's cool. Like people like me and you would resonate with it.
Totally.
Not necessarily, we wouldn't get like the, clavicular audience
Sure.
where it's like,
Sure.
what is it, 250, 300,000
Crazy,
people
yeah.
at a time?
Crazy.
Like,
Yeah.
sure, but that's not my target audience. I don't care,
Mm-hmm.
If I had 1,000 people watching me work all day, I'd be like mind blown. I'd be like, what are you doing?
Right.
Or maybe they're working with me just on their end,
That's kind of what I've wondered. I'm like, what? It would be kind of cool. I had this thought too of like, for example, this would actually be a cool experiment for you guys. It's like literally just live streaming what you guys are doing, having a camera, in the corner or something, a webcam, and just doing like a Twitch stream or something, and just like actually showing. Because I think one of the things that I always wanted to learn, especially as an aspiring entrepreneur, and this is more aspirational now, this conversation for anyone that maybe is just getting started. I always wanted to see the true behind the scenes. Like you'll see content online that says behind the scenes of building my business, but at the end of the day, it's still packaged a certain way. It's still edited a certain way. It's still filmed way back and, spent a lot of time in post-production thinking about the structure and what we want to include and not include. I always kind of yearned for I wish I could see someone literally live, like documenting on a stream here, day one, like I'm starting my business, that kind of thing. And this is what we're doing today, And so I can definitely see that world come into fruition. I also kind of wonder, and this is more specifically for you, because I used to think about this too when I was doing more of the content agency stuff, is I wonder if there's a play in the future where you could, like with your clients, go and just film or have like a dedicated videographer film a ton of like basically B-roll around the city or lifestyle or whatever the case is, and then just start uploading it to the cloud basically for people to take and whatever. Like when you're saying about kind of creating a product, for people if it's going to be digital first is what you're describing. So I wonder if there's a world for you where it's like you film all this B-roll of, let's say you're targeting, like landscape businesses, just an example. You film a ton of B-roll in Las Vegas about, specifically landscape, and then you just upload it somewhere and then kind of like on a WAP or something, and they pay to just take those. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think
like clip packs almost.
Yeah, kind of like almost like stock packs or something, and then I don't know. It just seems like there will be a direction where a lot of this will be, like you mentioned, productized or templatized pieces of content, with just how many different formats are out there and how people are using content now. I don't know, man.
No, for sure. And I think we can keep going in circles about this too. It's like the age of content is like always going to be changing. But I think the more you're open to it, I really believe like money follows attention in that sense. Where if you have the balls for it, showcase your whole life, IRL stream. Like that's in the works for us right now. Is technically I'm just demand generation for this business as well, where I'm going to cool business owners and I'm talking with them and I'm driving around Vegas, and sometimes I'm, at Brewdog on the strip, like talking to a client. But then on the weekend, sometimes I might end up at Red Rock at 4 a.m, and it's like, it would be hilarious if I was like watching this and I'm like, this guy is a complete like tweaker.
Like that would be really, and that
it would be so almost like relieving to be like, oh, okay, this guy isn't, the business guy that like is sitting there 24/7. Like, oh wow, he has a personal life. That's so cool.
And that's why I pose this question, because, for example, like when you think of Hermosi, we keep bringing him up because everyone knows him. Everyone's like, does he really just work? Because he always says, like, I just work all day, every day. That's all he does, right? And so it's like, this guy, for most people listening, and they don't have this, like, drive to just work 24/7, like, from 6 a.m. to midnight. It's like, I want to see what he's doing when he's not working. It's like, I feel like there is so much more value to be had there of like, how does he actually spend his time in his personal life, and I can see a world where that comes to fruition, where it seems like with just how everything's going, where people are just craving authenticity because of just how I think this also has to do, and you would know this with ads, people have just been burned so much by these fake personas, gurus,
I hate
scams
it.
on ads and
Get me as
stuff.
far away from that as possible. Like
Right.
if I could build an authenticity app that
Right.
that can fact check
Verify
your
your
Lambo,
credibility or something.
that
Yeah.
can fact check your Lambo and your Rolex and everything, and just
Right.
because I can't stand that kind of stuff.
Right. And I totally get it. So I can see why we are going this direction. I had a question for you. Now I'm kind of blanking on it. Oh, curious if you've seen too this is just kind of a side note, and I had another question for you. On Google now, you can connect all of your platforms. Like Google is now becoming a social platform in itself, and you can connect all of your different Instagram, Facebook, all your different social media accounts onto one profile. So when people go to Google your name or your business or whatever, everything is right there. I
Yeah.
find that interesting. Like, why is Google going in that direction? You know?
Yeah, I feel like they're just struggling for that kind of omnipresence that they once had. Like now you have ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini and everything where I'd rather go there than go on Google to find something. If it's like an answer, I'll be like, hey, yo, what's the best marketing agencies in Vegas? You know?
Mhm.
But I think this is their like attempt at kind of centralizing everything, where
Mhm.
it's like you have, Google My Business, which was like coveted before. It's like you have to have multiple GMB posts every single day for this and this and this. Now with all this there, it's like, hey, here's your continuous posts. Like they're, your relevancy, your
Mhm.
meta tags and everything. It's like all getting logged. Like your
Mhm.
SEO is going up, so you're good. Don't worry about it. So that's, I think, the approach they're taking.
I think it's very interesting, man, when you're saying digital first. Um, I'll go back to some value now for everyone here. That was kind of us riffing for the
Yeah, a little
audience.
bit.
So that's totally fine. Um, you mentioned something earlier that I thought was really interesting when you said the different levels of advertising. Now, there's many different ways you can take that of like organic versus paid, but one thing that came to mind immediately when you said it is different levels of awareness. And I'm sure you're probably experiencing this right now with your ads. And I think it's a really interesting concept. This is a little bit more advanced for the audience listening, but really insightful, I think, for most people. When you look at different pieces of content, there's a certain ratio that I've seen and I've learned from paying different people and seeing what they've done. They mention kind of like a 30-30-40 split of top of funnel, bottom of funnel, middle of funnel on their organic, that is, to generate business. And for anyone listening, when we're talking about top of funnel, we're talking about basically the broadest, simplest content that appeals to the vast majority of your niche. Middle of funnel being more personal to you, more a little bit more in depth, but more kind of storytelling driven content. And bottom of funnel being more for sales, leads, direct call to actions. And when I first started running ads, I basically thought that all an advertisement was, and this is why I brought up these different levels of awareness. When I first started running ads, my thought process was I just talk to a camera and I say, I have this offer, click the link below if you want to buy it. And so all I was posting, and I had a coach at the time who was like, dude, you just post offer ads. And I was like, I thought that's what an ad is. Like, aren't you just supposed to give an offer out? And I realized over the time that I was literally just posting bottom of funnel, like nothing about me, nothing educational, nothing at all. It's just, I have a new offer, seasonal promotion, buy now. And it wasn't until later on where I learned to blend and have different piece of ads that are, one is maybe more educational that talks about a bigger picture. One is a little bit more of a founder story. And then the third one maybe is about a direct call to action. And same thing with the content. I've recently, as I've been growing my page, I try to focus on a lot of these simpler educational style videos that are like 15 seconds, very broad. And then I go a layer deeper and talk a little bit more about some of my background, my story, and then a little bit layer deeper where I talk about a case study or a testimonial. I'm curious with you, with the ads that you're doing, with the content that you're doing with business owners, how do you think about the different levels of awareness in your marketing campaigns?
Yeah. So it's funny you say that. And I put a lot of thought into this over the last probably 6 months, where I was experimenting with top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. And I just basically came back to where I started, which was volume at the end of the day. You have to think about who you're talking to. You're talking to a business owner who's running a full-time business, has employees under them and everything. And they're like, hey, man, I heard social media content is good. I don't care. Like, I don't know anything about it. Can you just give me social media content? Like, they're not going to ask you a question about, hey, so is this, geared more towards like middle of funnel, bottom? Like, you're doing a lot of explaining to these people, which comes with its own, like, issues. But hey, that's nature of the game. But these companies and service-based businesses just need content, period. So a lot of the stuff that we do is, I would say, mainly top of funnel, where we're just trying to grow their audience and grow their impressions and reach and everything in general, so that they can feel that sort of satisfaction and that win. As much as it's more of a marketing tool than anything, virality. You have, what's his name, Daniel Isles, whatever, viral coach. Hey, 1 million views guaranteed, or you don't pay. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, I can sell virality all day, sure. Like, that's fine, and I know the recipe for it. I'll just make very top of funnel, generic, content. But that's what people like to see. And I think if you're posting organic content and expecting advertising results, you're not going to find it, unless you've really put in the effort to get a crazy personal brand at the end of the day.
Yep.
But I think that it depends on your avatar, like who you're talking to. Yes, post content for social proof. Like, we work with the law office. It's like, hey, man, I just want to post to stay relevant. If my client follows me, they can see that I've made a post on Instagram before. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to give you exactly that. So people would be surprised sometimes to think, people would be surprised to know that not as much strategy goes into some things as you might think.
Well, that's why I was hoping you would kind of go in this direction. Well, I totally agree with you about the volume stuff. I've also found some success with different varying levels of awareness. But at the end of the day, like you're saying, and I noticed this too, just by having content, but also not only just having content on your page, but what I was hoping we would get to is that, and I found this for me personally, that some of my best performing content is the one that I spend the least amount of time preparing, and it's just through kind of sheer repetition, volume, and testing that even comes to fruition.
One question that I've been thinking about from the beginning.
Yeah.
If you had like a minute to explain like a cookie cutter, but great real estate agent marketing strategy to post content and get deals, what would that look like?
It's a great question. To answer your question, because I've talked to, this is part of the reason why I do this marketing podcast, is to figure out, and I try to survey as many people. So I have a form that I fill out, after every podcast, so I can see the data and I see what are these different realtors in the different stages of their business doing to generate business most effectively. For new realtors, the best strategy, I used to be totally against this, but for me, from everything that I've learned from every realtor that I've talked to, is high volume open house. The reason being is because an open house, you can leverage 3 things. One is content while you're there. The second is in-person connections, sales. And the third is you can go and talk to, just like we mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, you can go and knock the neighborhood and mention, hey, I have a house down the street. I don't know if you saw my sign. Just curious if X, Y, and Z is interested in coming and checking it out, or is interested in maybe me doing the same thing for yours. And so there's like 3 layers there that you can leverage at an open house. And the fourth one, if you're really ambitious and you have no one coming, is you could cold call during that time as well. And so I say that and I start this with newer agents, because a lot of the podcast guests lately have been newer agents. Some of them have been like mid-career, but a lot of the newer ones are like, they ask me this question all the time, what should I do? The open houses too is you don't have to rely on, 1, spending money on ads, 2, spending time, effort, and strategy on content, and 3, with the open house, you can just focus on your people skills, connecting with other people. And I know you mentioned cold calling too, so I'm a super advocate of that. For most people, they don't have the tenacity that you and I have for it. That's why I start with the open houses. So if I were And I was actually thinking about this recently. I was like, man, because my whole family are realtors. And I wanted to, years ago, I wanted to become a realtor, but they're like, you should try to go more in this direction because they saw I was interested in like technology and marketing and stuff. But I always kind of been telling myself, like, man, I should at some point just get my real estate license to show people like that this is the strategy. Because I know it would work. My first day would just be to get as many open houses as possible and just do that for a year. And I have no doubt in my mind that I would do okay for myself. Maybe I wouldn't be a gazillionaire. Like maybe I'm making it sound too easy. But I think at the end of the day, the reason why I'm so confident is because one thing that sales has taught me is high volume for a long enough time, you'll get to where you need to go. And the same thing with content. And I think my unique advantage, even though I'm not a realtor myself, is that I have been able to do that in sales and content, high volume for multiple years consistently. And I've seen results from doing that. In my sales career, just like how you mentioned, your successes, I found tremendous successes with my companies that I've worked for on commission roles, as well as like mixed roles with an OTE. Bonuses, I've always been the top rep at all my companies just for simply doing more work for a long enough time horizon, trying to get better.
Yeah.
So that would be for anyone that's a new realtor, because I was just talking with someone yesterday. And again, I also have, ran ads, I've done content, I've done every single form of the generation with realtors directly. Open houses would be my go-to for sure.
Interesting.
Yep.
And I think what would be really cool, one thing to build off of that is make it into a series. When you say content, like a little bit more granular, is like hosting 100 open houses for 100 days. And then or if you're just getting your license, make it a journey, right? Like let people tag along with you because a lot of them won't have the guts to chase their dreams. So they might want to chase it through you. And that's another thing is making content from that perspective, right? Younger you would want to see someone who looks like you, sounds like you, talks like you, everything, go through and like you said, you want to see it IRL. Like, hey, what does your life actually look like outside of this and outside of this?
Yep.
So, yeah, man, just documenting it all.
And I only say, I don't know if I mentioned this in my explanation. I totally agree with you about documenting everything. The reason why I'm so strong in the open houses is because I think I mentioned that I do this data collection with our guests. And what I've found from the data that we've collected is the vast majority of agents who are new and have gained at least 6 dealers or more in their first year did it through open houses from the data that we found. So I'm not saying that all the other strategies don't work. I'm a big advocate that everything works. Like I love cold calling. For me, I would just do high volume open house if this is my first year as a realtor. So based on everyone's conversations that I've had. So
it's funny you say that. Do you know who Brandon Mladen is?
Mm-hmm.
So I bought his course for $3,000 right when I got into real estate. And it was the greatest investment I could make because it just kind of taught me all the granular activities, and he wrote it so stupidly that I had to follow it. It was like, hey, do this one thing, and then do this one thing. But I was hosting open houses for sale by owners.
Yep.
And it's like, I don't know why someone would trust me at 19
Yep.
to like walk in and be like, hey, can I host an open house? And it's like, what's in it for you? And I'm like, if I bring a buyer, you can give me a commission, right? And then it's that whole script. But it was like, that was fun, man. Like I got a lot of for sale by owner listings, and it's like you're just putting positivity into the universe and bringing them perceived value.
Yep.
Who cares, bro? It's like if no one shows up, no one shows up. But hey, you sat there and you looked the part and you were prepared. You had the cookies out. You had everything.
Here's the other thing too. One of our clients right now that Tiago works with one-on-one has mentioned that too. He's like, I want to get more listings. And so he started cold calling for sale by owners, which would be my second strategy, which we didn't really touch on, but he cold called for sale by owners and said, hey, can I do what you just mentioned? Do an open house of your listing so I can get content out of it. And so now he has the open house experience, he has content, and he has the potential sale with the for sale by owner.
Yeah.
And so now he's doing just great. And so I'm like, man, I have the privilege, although I've never been a realtor, I've lived hundreds of realtors' lives. So I can see very clearly that like this is the strategy that I would do day one, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So.
Cool, man. Awesome.
All right, everyone. I appreciate it. it's been a pleasure, Mladen, for inviting me here to the studio. This is our first in-person podcast for the Buyers on Demand space. So that's an awesome accomplishment. Shout out to Mladen. And Mladen, do you want to say anything to the audience about where they can find you, how they can contact you, how they can work with you?
Yeah, you can follow us on Instagram at GMediaLV and follow me personally at Mladen Zoranovic on all platforms.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Buyers on Demand podcast. We talked a lot today. A lot of value. Hope you guys got something from it. A little bit more advanced than normal, which is amazing. I've been dying for these kind of conversations. So thanks again, and see you next time.
Peace.